All right, what's up, world? Welcome back to another episode of Just Grow It, the podcast. I'm your host, Big City Gardener, and today we're talking about top dressing. Now, oftentimes people think that liquid fertilizers are the only way to apply their amendments or their compost to their garden. So people will brew all sorts of compost teas. They'll apply these things as soil drenches, or they will even foliarly feed these to their plants. I'm here to tell you there is another way and an easier way to apply your amendments and your fertilizers to your garden, and that is by simply top dressing the soil with them. Now, like I just said, it doesn't matter what amendment or fertilizer you're using, whether it's compost, manure, worm casting, bone meal, it doesn't matter. By simply placing these amendments on top of the soil, you can receive a crazy amount of benefits. And don't think that you have to be gardening in raised beds for this to work. Top dressing works extremely well with containers, raised beds, in-ground beds. Hell, you can even put it directly onto your lawn. I don't know why you still have a lawn, but if you do, top dressing works extremely well. Top dressing is a less invasive way to apply these amendments and restore fertility to your soil. I know a bunch of gardeners, some old timers who swear by rototilling or double digging their soil. And while that does work, what I've learned over time is that in our soil, 3 inches down and more, there is this magical layer. And that layer consists of a lot of our soil food web members. And the less we can disturb those members, the better off our soil and our garden will be. So why should we even consider top dressing? Well, one, it's an easy way, probably the easiest way to apply our amendments or fertilizers to our garden. Top dressing also helps act as a slow release fertilizer. So once I place it on top of the soil, every time it rains or every time I water the garden, some of those nutrients are working their way down into the soil below. Now, there is not a better time or a best time to top dress. What I realize is anytime I notice that my plants seem to be stressed, I will apply some sort of top dressing to that soil. Now, if I notice that my plants are really stressed, they're really going through it, that I can clearly look and determine what the problem is, whether it's nitrogen deficiency or anything like that, first I will apply a liquid fertilizer to help make sure that the plant gets what it needs quickly. And then I top dress the soil, and that top dressing, what it does is it helps to slowly release the nutrients to help fix any issues that we may have within our soil. How do we go about actually top dressing? Well, the steps are relatively simple. All right, so first we're going to remove the mulch, okay? Because remember, if you're not mulching, then what are we actually doing? Now, once we've removed the mulch, we're going to then come back in with about an 1 to 2 inch layer of whatever amendment it is we are adding to our garden. Then we're going to take some sort of hoe, a rake, or even a shovel, and we're just going to work that amendment into the top 1 inch of the soil. What I like to do is to get one of those hand cultivators or one of those little 3-tine rakes and just rub it across the top of the soil. I just want that soil biology to come in contact with whatever it is I am top dressing my soil with. And after that, we're simply going to water it in. Now, be careful whenever you are top dressing your plants because, like I said, it is a slow release fertilizer. So it may take a little time before you notice any difference. And what a lot of people have the tendency to do is to over fertilize. You know, after a few days, they don't notice any difference in their plants, so then they apply some more. Now, be careful with over-fertilization because that can lead to a whole spectrum of issues itself. We'll talk about those in a different episode. And when we talk about top dressing in things like containers, you may have to apply it more often than you would if you were top dressing a larger raised bed or an in-ground bed. And that's just because the same rules to container plants apply. Like I told you before, you will have to water and fertilize your containers more often than your in-ground beds. And that's just because there is less soil in the container than there usually is in your in-ground or raised beds. And with the containers, anytime it rains or anytime we water heavily, we run the risk of washing a lot of our nutrients out of the bottom of the pot. As opposed to with our raised beds and our in-ground beds, a lot of those nutrients are able to be contained within. Another thing I love about top dressing is if I ever come across any compacted areas in my soil or any areas where just when I look at the soil or I grab it, I can kind of tell that there's life lacking. Well, as soon as I top dress the soil, I kind of kickstart everything and get it going again. I basically supercharge those microorganisms that are in the soil, giving them a lot of nutrients, and then they can go in and basically revitalize any issues I may be having with my soil. So that's it. Just remember that top dressing is a slow release fertilizer and it is a slow fix. If you need something instantaneous or you need something faster, then you need to be looking for a liquid fertilizer. Now, all of my organic amendments, I apply them as top dressing, and I think that your garden could benefit if you do the same. Now, that's not to say that I don't still make compost teas or any sort of garden teas regularly, because I sure do. But every year at the start of every other season, I always top dress my garden with compost and another mixture of different amendments that I've whipped up over the years. That's it for today. That's it for this episode. A quick one where we just talk about top dressing. Hopefully you found this informative. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, I know you found it informative and I know you enjoyed it. So what I need for you to do is to tell a friend or two to go check out Just Grow It, the podcast. That's it. Until next time, don't forget to just grow it. Before I let you go, I need you to do more than one thing. First, I need you to like, comment, subscribe to the podcast. Second, I need you to tell a friend or two about the show if you enjoyed it. And if you have anybody you think I need to talk to, I should interview, send the name over, put it in the comments, or send me an email, igrow@BigCityGardener. And check me out, man, on Instagram and on all social media platforms, Big City Gardener. We out. Oh, almost forgot. Just grow it.